Okay, in this video I want to take a moment to talk about ComponentArt. They're one of the leaders in web user interface components in the world, and their technology is based on Microsoft.NET. That's the area that we've been specializing in and focusing on since .NET was introduced back in the 2002 timeframe. ComponentArt also came out during that same time. As a developer and as an architect for many years, one of the things that you realize is that it takes many pieces to make a good team. And with ComponentArt, we identified them years ago and started developing components in the very beginning in 2004, and then developing them and actually releasing them with our clients starting in 2005. And so I want to take a moment in this video just to talk about some of their key components. These are all I guess that there's three very key components that caught our eye initially. One was their menuing control, and another one was their data grid control, and then another one was their Ajax control. And finally, one control that we've actually extended quite a bit on its features and capabilities is their tree control. So there's actually four, but their UIs are exciting, they're powerful, they caught our eye, and we think that they'll impress you as well. Okay, one thing that I think you'll notice is the beauty of their UI controls, and then also the richness of their UI controls. Taking a look here, their calendar control, we've implemented their calendar control more than once. Their callback control is it's something that we use in every framework. That when we have a client that is agreeable to using ComponentArt, we've used it every single time with great success. Their data grid, that's the same thing. Very reliable, solid UI component. Not only does it have a lot of features, but the beauty of the way their grids look are another nice thing that stand out. Their menu is another very strong element of their entire tool set of controls. We've been using their menus for years. They've improved on them significantly over the years, and they're more powerful now than ever. Their rotator is something that they promote them as an add style component, but the rotators are actually extremely powerful for any dynamic data. The snaps is something that when you look at myyahoo.com and I Google, they call them widgets or gadgets. ComponentArt calls them snaps. We just call them widgets because people tend to know what that means, but when you're actually working with our framework, we refer to them as snaps, because while I'll get into some of the details of what we've done some very special things with ComponentArt controls, and you'll see that later. The next thing is their splitter. We've used their splitter for years as well. It works very nicely with their tree view control, which is another very solid, powerful control that they offer. And the thing that's really nice about ComponentArt is that they're these controls they've been developing since 2002, and we all know that when you first release something that there's going to be issues and things to work through, and they're very mature controls now. They're very stable. Because we've been developing with them for years and years, we've learned in detail how to make them come alive and how to make them extremely powerful, and we've extended them not only at the class side, but also just in terms of on the client side as well. One of the big selling points with ComponentArt is their support. They've got an excellent support center, an excellent documentation package, knowledge base, and request support. So if you purchase their frameworks in varying levels, we always purchase it at a very high level, so we get all the source code. We've built them into our applications, and it gives us the additional capability to say, okay, if there's something that comes up, can we extend their framework in some way so that then we can get their framework to do what we want to do for our clients. If you run into an issue though, the request support is incredibly responsive. I've worked with their group for years and years, and they've just been awesome. Their documentation is quite impressive as well. They're not dumb either. They followed the pattern of Microsoft and their MSDN. And if you take a look at their documentation, it's very impressive. And they have things broken out in a couple of key ways. You've got the general discussion of different individual components with examples. They cover in detail the client side of their components. They cover in detail the server side of their components, and so they really do a very, very good job, and we've been very happy with what they have to offer. Next we'll take a look at their Ajax based controls, and they have a number of examples on their site. This first one is their Ajax driven Windows Explorer, and what you're going to see is that it's very powerful. What they specialize in is the ability to provide you with a very beautiful UI with essentially starter code that will allow you to get your feet wet. What we've done with all their controls is we've taken those and we've extended them and made them very, very powerful in a fully database driven style application. And we've actually gone to the point to where if you take a look at their documentation, they have a multitude of enumerations that define their controls and how they act and their event models and so on. And we've actually built that into a database in our framework. So the beauty of that is that when you look at the different examples that they have on the site, even if we haven't developed one specifically for our framework, it's incredibly easy for us to take something that you like that they have and then very quickly build it into our framework, because we built our framework with their components in mind. And so their Ajax is extremely powerful. We've got a patent pending command and data communication framework that we wrote that is very, very powerful, very, very reliable. They will actually work with other UI controls other than ComponentArt just fine. And obviously, we didn't want to tie it to one component supplier or manufacturer, but at the same time, because we've worked with ComponentArt for so many years, we knew that, well, let's work with what we know is a good viable technology. But again, the patent is very, very exclusive to our framework, and so we can work with any UI component provider out there. If you look at their tree view control here, what we've done on our site is we have another patent actually that handles all the data and command communication in order to make any hierarchy come to life. So when you look at their control here and the beauty of it, one of the things that struck us, because we specialize in algorithms and data management, and we have for years, so when we saw their UI, we thought, well, oh my God, if we could take their UI and make that into a data-driven application that users then could have a unique experience for them individually, we thought that, wow, that would be really powerful. So that's what we did. In this last year, we focused on building the entire framework. We have several patents pending to support it, and hopefully you'll be excited by what you see and what we have to offer you. What you see here is a rotator, and this is one of their controls again, like the data grid and tree view and things that we got very excited about. You can see the capabilities that are built in. The data is there. You can scroll. You can pull it from a database. You can pull it from an XML file. In order to make this rotator truly come alive, you have to build a very solid framework to support it, and we've done that. And we're very excited about this particular component. Okay, this is another one that we were just couldn't believe when we first saw it, and this is their snap controls. And you can see how visually appealing that these are, and yet so when you compare these to iGoogle, you're probably going to say, wow, these look a lot nicer than iGoogle, and you know that may be your opinion or not. My Yahoo is another one, and what these controls, what they did with these snaps, and again they're usually called widgets, but they call them snaps. What these allow you to do is, if you have a complete data architecture to support it and communication framework to support it, you can make these things come alive. And we did that. If you take a look at our examples on our site, what we did is we wrote some very complex algorithms, because as it turns out it's quite complex to truly make these things come alive in a fully dynamic scenario with multiple users and the ability for them to customize look and feel to their own liking. There's quite a bit of work in doing that. We've done it. That is patent pending as well. You know, one of the things to keep in mind when you're looking at what ComponentArt has is that because of our years of experience working with their controls, we can basically, any control that you see, even if we have not developed it at this point, we can take it and very rapidly develop it to meet your needs. And then finally, to finish up, our bread and butter has been writing very powerful, complete architected solutions to manage data. And the data grid is something that we've used for years and years because of it. What we've done is we've got a patent pending code generator that will dynamically generate 3 different types of data grids that are extremely powerful. You've got a standard in-edit style data grid, you've got a master detail style data grid, and then you have a parent-child style data component that's extremely powerful, totally unique in the industry, never been done before. And because of the code generator, you merely go out with it, select your database, select your table, and it will generate thousands of beautiful code that works across all 3 tiers of a web application, and it's fully customizable, and it's written so that it matches up with the Microsoft page and control event model that they have in ASP.NET, and it's fully abstract and object oriented, which means that you can override, you can extend to your heart's content. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. This talks a little bit about ComponentArt and also how we support it. Please take a look at our other videos when you have some time.